Sometimes God uses what happens in our lives to prepare us for his mission. That's exactly what happened to our Bible hero today, Esther. As always with our Sunday lessons, go ahead and get a piece of paper and any drawing materials you want to participate in today's lesson. As you may recall, 2 weeks ago, our friend Daniel was in a country that was not his own. The Babylonians had come and taken over Jerusalem, but now a new nation has arisen, named Persia. Persia took over Israel, and some Israelites got to return to their land, but some remained in the land of Persia. Two people who remained in Persia was a Jew named Mordecai and his cousin Esther, who was really young and needed somebody to take care of her, so Mordecai decided to adopt her as his own daughter. Now, for our first picture, we're going to go ahead and draw a woman who this time is Esther for us. We'll draw her a triangle nose, some nice squiggly long hair. She's got nice bangs and some hair in the back. We'll give her an eye. I like to give eyelashes. And we'll give her a mouth and chin. And there you have it, Esther. When Esther grew a little bit older, the king of Persia decided to look for someone to be his queen. He scoured the land looking for young and beautiful women, and he decided that he liked Esther best. Esther impressed him with how beautiful she was, as well as how smart and talented she is. Now, God was preparing Esther in advance for some big plans that he had for her. And for this scene, we are going to draw a crown because Esther became queen. I'm going to use yellow to start for some gold. We'll draw a little halo, sort of an oval, and then we'll draw our spikes. We'll draw 3 spikes, like Princess Peach's crown from Mario. Then I'm gonna add a big red ruby in the center. A little trick for things like jewels and eyeballs, if you want to make it look more real, you make like a little light circle in it somewhere, and you color everything else in, and for some reason it makes it look more real. I learned this with drawing eyeballs and jewels and things. So go ahead, take your time, put whatever you want on your crown, jewels, boogers, etc. And I'm also going to add 2 smaller sapphires on the side, because I think Esther's crown should be a little decked out, you know. But maybe you put emeralds, which are green, on your crown. Maybe you put purple gems. Maybe you make it pure gold. Maybe you make it silver. There's our crown. Now there was an official in Persia named Haman, who was second only to the king. He was a very prideful and angry man. He made everybody bow before him, except there was one Jew who wouldn't bow before him, Mordecai, our friend from the first picture. Mordecai would only bow before God, and this enraged Haman, but he couldn't do anything about it for the time. So he began speaking lies to the king of Persia about all the evil the Jewish people commit. And then he asked the king to go ahead and try and kill every single Jew in Persia just because of Mordecai. So to illustrate this picture, we're going to draw somebody who is bowing. We're going to start with 2 just corners of a rectangle, one smaller, one bigger. And then we're going to draw a head. Sorry, I'm kind of getting into my crown picture over here. That's okay. Art is not a science. We'll give him a nose, some closed bowing eyes, a little smile, a hand going like that, a hand going like this, and little feet. And there we have a man bowing. Unfortunately, Haman's lies worked, and the king put into action a law that would kill every single Jew in Persia. He even stamped his signet ring on it, which means that it could not be revoked or taken back. All the Jews were terrified and asked themselves the question, what did we do to deserve this? To illustrate this picture, we're going to go ahead and draw the king's signet ring, which was a ring with a special stamp on it that allowed him to make a mark on papers. To draw this ring, we're going to start with a circle, like that, and then we're going to make a sort of oval halo around it like that. Then from the sides, we'll go ahead and do a line connecting from that part of the oval to that circle, and the same thing on this side. That doesn't look quite real right there. And we'll go ahead and add the other side of the ring on that side. If you can imagine the ring sort of tilted up facing us. And then we will add a mark of ink on the front of it in the shape of a crown, so as to symbolize the mark the king would make on laws with his ring. I have a ring on this hand. I'll do it with this hand. Queen Esther had no idea about the law, and the king had no idea that Queen Esther herself was a Jew. And so she found out about it by talking to her cousin Mordecai. Mordecai was really sad and told Esther all about the law and told her that she was perhaps the only Jew in the kingdom that was in the position of power to be able to talk to the king, to talk him out of making this law. Esther was scared because to go into the king's presence was very difficult, but Mordecai reminded her that she was a Jew too, and if the law passed, she wouldn't be safe either. So to illustrate this scene, we're going to draw Mordecai being very sad. So we'll start with a big U to take up most of the square. Then we will add droopy teardrop eyes, 2 of them. Eyes down here, looking down. A little upside down U for the nose, a bigger upside down U for the mouth. We'll draw some tears coming down. And we'll give him curly hair because it's my favorite kind of hair to draw. And there's our sad, sad friend Mordecai. Going to see the king was dangerous, even for the queen. If one were to show up in the king's court unannounced, he would have to hold up his scepter to you, and if he did not, that means that he wanted you dead. So, Esther was very scared, but Mordecai reminded her that it was very likely that God had put her in this position for this very purpose, because only somebody that the king liked more than Haman would be able to plead on behalf of the Jews to him. So in order to illustrate this scene, we're going to draw the king's hand with the scepter in it. So we're going to draw a little hand here in the corner. We'll have a thumb, and we'll have 4 fingers, like so, little ovals. And then we'll draw a little palm over here. It's pretty much just 6 ovals in that configuration. Is going to help you draw what will look like a hand when we're done drawing our scepter. As per usual, kingly objects are usually made of gold, so I'm going to stick with gold here and draw a long rectangle. And at the end of it, I will, as per usual, draw a ruby red jewel. Color it in a little crazily. Oh, got some purple in there because of the line. That's kind of cool. And finally, we're going to draw a little bit of a tip on it. And it's actually okay that it bleeds into this next picture because the next picture involves it. Or rather, one of the next pictures involves it. Queen Esther was willing to trust God so much, even if it meant that she was going to die. For 3 whole days, she spent time praying and fasting, going without food so that she could pray with all the more power. Queen Esther finally, after 3 days, slipped into the king's courtroom, heart beating, just hoping and praying that he would hold out his scepter to her so that he would listen to what she had to say. Now, with these next couple pictures, I'm going to go ahead and erase this line and just make these whole last three one scene. And with our ruby red color, we are going to draw a beating heart that is really nervous. And I'm going to make little ba-bumps, ba-bumps all around it to show that it was pumping and bumping as Queen Esther waited to see if the king was to hold out his scepter for her. And the king did hold out his scepter for Esther, and Esther was received and listened to. The king invited Esther to 2 feasts with him and Haman, and at the end of the second feast, Esther told the king that there was a dangerous enemy after her and her people. The king asked her, "Who is this enemy?" And she pointed to Haman and said, "It is he. He is after me and my people and wants us dead for no good reason." So the king put an end to that plot and replaced Haman with Mordecai, and the Jews were able to defend themselves on the day that the attack came, so that the attack was discouraged and thwarted. This meant that the people were safe, all because Esther was willing to trust in the Lord. To illustrate this picture, we'll go ahead and draw Esther's hands touching the scepter, receiving the king's gesture. And this hand is going to be made up of mostly ovals again. And we're going to go ahead and draw some very happy faces of the Israelites who were happy about how Esther handled the situation. Now, time for some questions. Question number 1. What did Queen Esther do? Give this a pause and try and answer the question before I give you the answer. Esther saved her people by trusting in God. Second question, how did God prepare Esther for this event? Go ahead and hit pause and await the answer. God made her queen. It was because God put her in this position to begin with that she was able to save the people when the time came to trust in the Lord. Queen Esther was ready because she knew what it meant to trust in God. All the Jews in Persia were saved because of that. God's preparing us for big things too. It might not be as big as what Esther was doing, but God has got important jobs for each and every one of us, and he's going to prepare us for those jobs as we learn to trust in him. Thank you so much for joining us, boys and girls. See you next time.
Hey there, friends at home. Today we are issuing you a challenge to help us with a little bit of a project. You see, there are some amazing people at my church home who have made an incredible song that teaches us how best to stay safe during this pandemic. So, if you want to help out, go ahead and have your parents contact me because I need all of you to get out your drawing supplies and help us draw out the lyrics for a special video that we're going to make. It's going to be so amazing, so please tell your parents, Mom, Dad, contact Holden. If you don't know how to do that, then please leave a comment in the video. Love you. Have a great day.